Okay. Good evening. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2026. It's 7 PM. This is the Town Council meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
David Zoni.
Here.
Jennifer Klock. Michael Del Santo. Kristen Gaida.
Present.
James Morelli.
Here.
Tony Morrison.
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Joshua Serafino.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky.
Here, we have 7. We have a quorum. I did hear from the Vice Chair Clock. She's traveling right now and is unable to attend, and Mr. Del Santo as well. So if everybody can please stand for the prayer and flag salute.
Lord, may you continue to bless and keep Southington and her people. May you direct and lead this council in all her endeavors as we seek to do what is right and just for all people. Amen.
Amen. And Evelyn is going to start us with the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to go to the microphone? Sure. Whenever you're ready, Evelyn.
Are you ready?
We're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can stay right there, Evelyn, okay? We're going to do one item before we go forward. We're going to look, I'm looking for item number 2, a motion to approve the July 13, 2026 Town Council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Chris and a second from Tony. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. We are going on to item 3, councilperson communications. And now we have a special guest. Evelyn's going to talk to us again because she's been doing this now for a few years. She's going to talk to us about backflips for backpacks. Come on up and take your time. Tell us about your initiative and how we can help you.
Read all you wrote.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Holly. I live at 115 Johanna Circle in Southington. This Sunday at August 16th from 12 to 3, I will be doing my backflips for backpacks for the 4th year in a row on the Southington Town Green. For every backpack donated, I will do a backflip. All of the items will be donated to Southington Community Services. The items needed this year are backpacks, headphones, Sharpies, pencil pouches, index cards, binders, multicolor pencils, colored pencils, multicolored pens, dry erase markers, and pocket folders. If you cannot make it, but we would like to donate, we can arrange a pickup time. Thank you, and I hope you can make it.
Thank you, Evelyn. Does anybody here have questions for Evelyn? It's Sunday, right, Evelyn? This Sunday, August 16th, from 12 to 3 on the Town Green. Is there anybody on the dais that has any questions?
I just want, not a question, just a comment. I just want to say that's awesome. Keep up the good work, and we're so proud of you that you're out here supporting the community and students who need school supplies.
Thank you.
One quick question.
ahead.
Evelyn, how many years have you done this now?
4.
4 years. Fantastic. Great job.
I would like to know, Evelyn, what is your record so far? How many backflips have you done in a row? What, have you counted them? How many do you think you could do?
How many did Uncle Jack make you do last year in a row?
Like 25.
25.
25. That's amazing. Good job. Thank you for coming out. Okay. Thanks again, Evelyn. Okay, we are still in councilperson communications. The floor is open. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share? Chris?
I've got a couple things. First of all, I'd like to announce the 4th annual Harvest Hoedown at Leaf. If you're not familiar with Leaf, it's a 3-generational farm in Southington that we're very fortunate to have. And each year they do a fundraiser. The Harvest Hoedown this year will be August 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. A local band Matt Rossi, also the Mammoth Jack Band, will be performing this year as part of that celebration. If you're interested, tickets can be purchased on the LEAF website, which is leafct.com. A couple other items. On Tuesday, August 4th, I had the pleasure of attending with the town manager a thank you celebration for our students in the Yeti program. These are high school students that work throughout the summer to do community service opportunities within our town. And I'd like to acknowledge Dave Miller, who's he's a teacher at the high school, but he oversees this program and works with our youth to do these charitable projects throughout the town. So I'd like to thank and acknowledge all the students that are part of that Yeti program. On Friday, July 31st, I had the pleasure of attending, again with the town manager, a ceremony. It was supposed to be held in the Green, but the weather didn't really cooperate that day, so we moved into the American Legion. And the Governor Lamont and Representative Poulos had this ceremony basically to recognize $50,000 in state funding that we received for the restoration of our Veterans Memorial, and legislation related to the HEROES Act. So I know Rachel Wacky's here in the audience. She was there that day as well, representing the Veterans Committee along with Joe Delaporta. But I especially just want to thank Chris Poulos Sr. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army during the Vietnam era and served 27 years afterwards in the Army Reserve Force. And really, he was a driving force behind and brought to life the veterans' need for dental care. As a veteran himself, he also serves as a chair of the dental subcommittee, and he fought to bring this recognition to our veterans in town as part of the Connecticut HERO Act. So again, just like to acknowledge and thank Chris Poulos Sr. for his work in chairing that committee within our Veterans Committee. Finally, I just want to bring something to light that honestly I'm a little upset about. We know within the last month there were some upsetting incidents that happened in our town. One being the incident at the Cadillac Ranch, and the other being the incident with kids on their e-bikes and a stabbing, unfortunately, that occurred throughout that. And what I'm talking about in particular is the Southington Outsider did a story. The majority of the story is still live, although a portion of it was taken down. I was quoted in this. My quote, I feel I can read it, but I feel it's about unity, bringing the community together, showing support and appreciation, and thanks to our police department for their swift response during this. And again, about bringing our community together. I'm a little upset that one of the quotes, and it has since been taken down because I'm not the only one that felt a little upset about this, was about how Democrats on the Board of Finance and Democrat Town Council votes to reduce police department resources. So again, to me, I think that should be more about bringing our community together and uniting and showing that we stand together as a community, and not divisive political statements like that I don't want to speak for the two of you, but I certainly feel very strongly that I support public safety, both the police and fire department especially. So
Absolutely.
that was just something
Can you read the quote, though?
my quote or the other quote?
The other quote.
Okay. These e-bikes and juveniles and young adults who find pleasure in harassing drivers and pedestrians and even attacking people in Southington have no place in our community. We continue to invest in public safety, including police and fire, to prevent these types of issues and keep our community safe. Actions such as last month's recent Democrat Board of Finance and Democrat Town Council votes to reduce police department resources, such as our animal control officers, shift these additional burdens onto the rest of the department and pulls away resources from policing activities and preventing heinous crimes like that on Main Street yesterday. The reference to the animal control officer, I think all three of us actually spoke to the police chief himself who recommended those reductions within the department budget so that the resource was shifted elsewhere. So after speaking to the police chief, we voted in a manner that we felt was appropriate for public safety. And I know the fire chief is here. We certainly voted to support the fire department with a vote with the SAFER grant, among others, up here. So I just felt that was an unfair statement to make in a time when we should be coming together.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody? Dave?
I'd just like to take the opportunity to say that I love the event, the Taste of Southington, that happened last Wednesday night. The folks that staff our Barnes Museum did a wonderful job setting it up, and a beautiful community band played, and I hope next year a lot of folks will come out. Also, I'd like to thank the people, members of our staff, town staff, who helped come and set it up and break it down. It's a lot of work to get a little festival like that off the ground in one day. So I just want to thank them for that. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave. I echo your thanks. Certainly, the staff did great, and the town manager, sent out an all points bulletin to anybody who was willing to raise their hand and volunteer their time, and it's nice to see a number of folks who were able to do that. I think, Tony, you were there as well.
Yeah.
Who helped with the volunteer work, so thank you.
Yeah, but I keep quiet about it.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? All right, hearing none, let's move on to item 4, reports of special committees. A, open space. Vice Chair Clark is not here. Chris, did you want to say a couple words, or did you want me?
Sure. The majority of the meeting, which was really exciting, we spent really talking about the Pleasant Street parcel. So if you haven't seen it already, the barn up there, which is going to be used by our ag science program at Southington High School, has really come a long way. There's been a lot of construction. So we talked about with so much of that property being used for Board of Education purposes, how do we shift who's responsible for a portion of the property. So that was the majority of the meeting. Alex, you were there as well. Am I missing anything else of substance?
That was almost the whole meeting.
Right. Okay.
If it's okay, I'd like to also add that, parcel maintenance is something that's a topic that I know that we've been working on putting together a master list, and also which departments are going to help, when, how often, because not every parcel needs maintenance in every area every single year or more than once per year. And so we're going to try to get this master list going. And we often get a lot of people who come to the meetings and ask for volunteer work. They come out and they say, hey, we want to help clear a parcel. Which one can we do? And if we put this on the master schedule and we post this, we'll manage to it internally, but also it'll be available for anybody who wants to raise their hand and say they would like to help. There's an opportunity to identify and be part of a great thing in our community, which is our open space, one of our most cherished things. But we definitely don't want that to go, our parcels to go fallow as well. We got to make sure we're keeping up with them. So that's really important. Looking forward to hearing the report out on that, hopefully at the next meeting. And then we're going to schedule a Pleasant Street barn ribbon cutting ceremony, hopefully this fall, early fall time. And so I'm asking the town manager if he'll please ensure that he touches base with the Board of Ed and schedules that so that we can have a co-board ribbon cutting ceremony. And same parcel, I know Chris and I have talked about this a few times. The driveway, the main driveway, is something that I also spoke to the town manager about. We have to find a way, either in the current grant or with maintenance funds, or open space maintenance funds with Farm Heritage and Open Space. The driveway that we have people come in for the vegetable stand, and now with the new barn, with programs and things that will be there, and we have the community garden, is insufficient for regular pedestrian use. It's not safe. It has a lot of holes, potholes, undulations. We've patched it a bunch of times. Probably can be torn out, and we could probably put in something a little more environmentally friendly, some sort of material on the ground that's not too costly, but allows people to drive in and park and also attend a few of the things on that site.
I
So
have
if
good
we
news
can-
on that.
sounds
Mr.
good.
Chair.
Thank
I
you.
spoke with Mr. Romano of the Board of Education just a few hours ago. He spoke with Mr. Bedancy earlier today, and There's a little bit of money left in the grant. They'd be happy to expand the parking with processed stone. We had a conversation about drainage and environmentalism, and we both agreed that the best thing to do would be put process down there, not to put asphalt and increase the runoff. So they're happy to work with us on that additional parking.
That's great. You know, and I think if we're going to do it, it would, I mean, obviously, getting it done sooner than later is great. We should put some plans in place to ensure that if we're going to have, you know, some surfaces that allow drainage through them instead of an impervious surface, that we do it the right way. You know, maybe put some material around blocks or something around the outside to hold the material so that it doesn't get away from us over time and become, you know, something that we're constantly chasing to clean up and fix. And so if we can do that, that would be great.
And Paul, to your point, just thanks to the town highway department, because they have come out and done some of
A
that
bunch
work
of
to
times,
repair it,
yeah.
especially the potholes, so.
That's right.
Thanks to them.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on open space that anybody has for questions? Okay, Chris, I think you're up for SHS roof.
Yep, very quick. We had a meeting on Friday, July 31st. A couple of things of note. The chair, Pete Romano, brought up that the town, there's really tax consulting proposal from the town CPA firm. We had one proposal for that, which is for $30,000. We decided to table that just to get 3 other bids because, you know, we wanted to follow the town procedures and make sure that, we have no idea that may be the cheapest, but we want to make sure and do our due diligence to make sure there's other firms. Aside from that, we approved invoices for $13,500 and $344,157. All these are in line. We're still significantly under budget for this project.
Okay, questions on SHS roof? Item C, Chris, trifecta.
Yes.
Elementary school roof. I think
Elementary
Josh
school.
wasn't around, so.
Correct. That also met July 31st, very brief meeting. As of July 31st, the project was 88% complete. This is the roof at Hatton Elementary School. And we were assured that this will be completed completely before students arrive. So they have approximately 2 weeks left to do that work. And again, a week ago, we were at 88% of completion. Also, we received a change order. Just like to share those out. Mortar and masonry maintenance was needed for approximately 1,600 square feet of the project. So again, well within budget. So we voted to approve that at $385,000. And, oh, one more thing. And then we approved an invoice for Gold Seal Roofing, and that was for $461,985.
Did you say gold-plated roofing?
Gold
Gold
Seal
Seal.
Roofing.
Okay.
That's the company, yes.
All right,
Not
very
Gold-
good.
Not Gold Seal.
That's the company name.
Exactly.
Okay, any questions on the elementary school roof subcommittee? Okay, hearing none. Thanks, everybody. We're going to move on to item 5, Town Manager's Report and Communications. A, Report of the Board of Finance.
Thank you.
Fiscal year 2025, year-end closeout update, and other financial updates. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Finance met July 29th, 2026. It was the last meeting of the fiscal year, so it was quite the agenda. I'll hit some of the highlights. Most notably, they dealt with the $834,000 issue that's been quite in the news lately in social media and here and the Board of Finance. They moved it from the general fund, as was discussed here, and the Board of Finance was unanimous vote. And there was a little bit of discussion. If you want a bit more insight on it, I'd welcome you to watch the video. It was done here due to scheduling issues, so the video was live streamed and also in very good quality. Second big point, the fiscal year 2025 audit was closed out. Our public accounting firm, CLA, gave a presentation about the audit. It was a quote-unquote a clean audit. They talked about a lot of the progress that's been made within the town, especially the finance department over the last year, how it's been a lot easier for them to do the work and much more efficient. Good news, they ended the year with a $2.4 budget surplus. That was a combination of expenses coming in a little bit lower than expected and revenues also coming in a little bit lower. But, so good news, that rolls into the undesignated fund balance. And the last really great news that came out of that meeting was they closed out the DePaulo Middle School renovations from over 10 years ago. That grant from the state of Connecticut has been sitting in file cabinets for over 10 years. Initially, when we put in for the grant, the state was looking for over a six-figure reimbursement back to the town from ineligible costs. So they sent us a preliminary bill for well over $100,000. We dug in, got more information, pulled meeting minutes, dug up boxes, and happy to report, at the end of the day, from going from owing the state over $100,000, the state will be sending us a check for $2.6 million from the DePaulo renovation. That's a preliminary number, but we're just waiting on the Attorney General and everybody to sign off on it. So a lot of good news from that meeting. Any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So when we voted on the budget, we discussed receiving the money from the state, the $833,000. And when we discussed that, the motion was made to reduce the budget by $833 because we were taking the money from the state and plugging it there. I don't understand why the funds come from the general fund to then further fill that gap. So I'm not clear where all that is coming from.
So what was said before the vote was they originally were going to wait until the 834, little over $1 million, but 834 designated for the Board of Ed was coming from the state to transfer the money over. But they said the state's money, the IOU was good enough for them, so they were going to give the state the money and just wait for the reimbursement back. Give the Board of Education the money and then wait for the reimbursement back from the state to put it back.
Grants that come into the town of Southington all come in through the general fund. So I believe when we get these, all the ECS funding, that is, comes in, and then it gets dispersed out. So this additional money, normally it gets budgeted in. We know what it is. In this case, we didn't know what it was. It's additional money on top. So that money flows in through the general fund and then needs to be appropriated over to the Board of Ed. I think your question was why it can't come into the general fund, right?
But then why aren't we calling it what it is, money from the state instead of money coming from the general fund if it's?
What do you mean, calling it where?
Because it's grant money that's coming to, well, it's funding coming from the state. So why
Correct.
wouldn't we call it money from the state instead of taking it from the general fund?
Well, for example, when we did the budget, the discussion was that, the budget was that it was going to come into the general fund as a grant, and then it would be transferred over. The budget sheet that was given to the Board of Finance shows the revenue from the state in the general fund, in the Board of Ed fund, shows the revenue in the Board of Ed fund. But it shows it as a grant coming over. So it was labeled as additional revenues from the state.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah.
All revenue goes to the general fund. So,
Correct.
for instance, if you look at the Board of Finance minutes, often you'll see money to animal control or money to the police donation account. That money comes into the general fund and then gets, the Board of Finance moves it into appropriates it to different buckets. So this money will come into the general fund and it was moved over to the Board of Education, pending the minutes approval with this body.
And in this case, it had to go to the Board of Education because the state, at the time that CCM and the folks from the legislative offices, they were telling us just before the budget cycle was that this money needed to go to the Board of Education. So it was destined for the Board of Education one way or another. It couldn't be used for anything else other than Board of Ed. The mechanism, though, is that it comes in through the general fund.
I have a question.
I'm unsure why that is. I don't know if that's a state law or what, but
Is that true about ECS funding, PAR funding,
Everything.
everything.
LoSiP funding, the
Every
whole?
Yes.
penny.
You'll see it in the government budget. You'll see it there originally.
So if you look on the Board of Finance minutes, you'll see under number 8, department transfers, and then appropriations, the next page, there's literally dozens of general fund to BOE to different accounts, because that's how the accounting for the government, for the town side works. All the money comes to the general fund, the Board of Finance goes line by line, moves the money, and you'll literally see over 73 of them were done. So it wasn't just the 834, it was dozens and dozens of movements from the general fund to the fire department, to the police department, to the animal control.
Chris?
A couple things. Hopefully, with the completion of the Apollo, the middle school project coming to a close, hopefully we should see Kennedy shortly behind, because those were done jointly. Those were, I served on that building committee, and it was one project, you know, 2 separate buildings, but it was the Kennedy and the Apollo Building Committee. So hopefully, and maybe we'll see similar savings at Kennedy that we saw at Apollo, hopefully.
We hope so. It's
But-
been some of the files are very old, so they have to dig through them to get a lot of that
Okay.
backup. But we're very optimistic.
The other good thing about that, I don't know if residents remember, that project, actually, we had to go out to referendum a second time. It was a very unique situation. Once we started the project itself, there was more remediation needed for that. PCBs, we had to deal with a vapor barrier. There was a lot of remediation that we didn't anticipate before the project began. So we did go out for a second referendum, so I don't know if that factors at all into how we allocate the funds that are returned from the state, but just want to point that out too. The other thing I just want to touch base on, because I did watch the Board of Finance meeting, and the majority of the meeting, well, at least the beginning, was about the, again, $833,934. Chairman Leary at least pointed out, I mentioned it at the last council meeting a little bit. He referred to it as an oddity. I don't know if I'd refer to it as an oddity, but there was a discrepancy in the budgeting that we talked about here. Again, I'm just using his term, oddity. And as a result of that, I know we talked a little bit about, and I think Kristen or Dave, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. The concern too is when we enter into next fiscal year budget, really the amount for the Board of Education is $125,708,343, not $126,542,278, because that includes the 833. So in some sense, it's almost starting next year's fiscal budget at negative $834,000 because of that discrepancy. So I did reach out through the chair of the Board of Education to Jen Mellett, just to confirm my understanding was correct with that. So I can enter this into the record, just so we have it for next budget season, that again, that amount is not in the calculation for the budget, so I can pass that down. I also, again,
Chris,
want to...
just before you go on with that topic, it's important to note that with any funds that come in from the state, that, you know, there's a risk that it won't be renewed. Any funds. There's no promises for the future for any money. And that was discussed. You know, when we pass a budget, the departments that get money from the state need to determine whether they're getting reoccurring money, if they think the reoccurring will be fully reoccurring or less or more, or if it's going to be one time. In the case of this money, we're told that it's one-time funds, right? That's what we're told. But we're told that the legislature is going to fight to enact it as permanent funds in the future. But that's for the Board of Education to manage. They're going to have to manage to the budget that they were given to. So you're right. Right now, it's one-time funds, and you know they should ensure that they're using it in an appropriate way.
So I guess that brings me to my next point, which is what I brought up here at the council level. And again, I know it's been discussed at the Board of Finance extensively as well. The concern, I guess my concern remains consistent, that we are receiving financial advice from, whether it be the business manager for the Board of Education or our finance director, whose job is to ensure the finances are properly accounted for in the budgeting. It's not her job to set policy, that's our role. But once she's made aware of what the decision is. Her job is to advise on what the best way to appropriate the funds are. So I'm going back to the almost $834,000, and the fact that it was accounted for, again, I'll use John's term, an oddity in the budgeting process, despite the recommendation from the finance director to not do it that way. She is our financial expert, and she advised not to do it that way. And then, Paul, I mean, just to be transparent, you then asked, which frankly I think is good advice, to confirm with other finance directors, to confirm, with our auditors, and she did, and they both confirmed, the auditor and another finance director, that Chrissy was correct in the way she recommended the money be allocated as part of the budget. And that was disregarded, and it was done the way it was done. So, again, I'm concerned that we have our financial experts. I'm not a financial expert. I don't think any of us are up here. And she's advising us on how to do things, and her advice was disregarded. So I think moving forward, we need to listen to the advice of our experts when it comes to our finance director. Again, I'm not talking about her setting the policy. The decisions can be made however money is going to be allocated one way or the other. But once that decision is made, I think we need to defer to her expertise for how it's allocated. And again, I can pass this into the record too. This was a timeline from the finance director to the town manager outlining that and the fact that there was, in fact, follow-up at your request.
So we're 3 months past the budget, Chris, and you still don't understand the budget process. So I'm going to tell you what the discussion was so that you understand the difference between what was discussed with the finance director and what you're saying. What the finance director, her question to me was, in my discussion with her, was how to budget the 833, okay? This caucus, and quite frankly, you only asked to restore $250,000 of the Board of Education, of the 834 that was cut. So your caucus put forward a motion to restore $250,000 of the 834 that was budgeted for a cut by this council, okay? Secondly, the finance director I was telling the finance director that we wanted calculations about the reduction of the Board of Education budget of 834 from the budget, which was done. The finance director was asking me whether I was sure I wanted to have the 834 cut from the Board of Education budget. I confirmed with my caucus that that was the proposal that we wanted to put forward. So I stand by my motion. The finance director may not agree with that, but that's our job. Now let me finish. So what I went back to the finance director was afterwards, after talking with my caucus, the finance director showed the calculation as a double reduction in the mill rate. I'm the one that brought it to the attention of the finance director and said that the chair of the Board of Finance wants to look at this. I spoke to him. He doesn't think you should do a double mill rate calculation, okay? But after that, I leave it with the Board of Finance. Did you vote on a mill rate, Chris, on this town council?
No,
we didn't.
Board of Finance votes.
That was my discussion. That was my discussion with her. The discussion at the council is about the budget, the 834 cut. What the finance director was talking about was the 834 cut, not the mill rate. She was talking about the 834 and whether we wanted the cut to come to be an additional cut of the Board of Education. That was presented here in public. There's nothing to hide there. This caucus wanted the 834 cut. After that, the Board of Finance, we have members here, the Board of Finance didn't look at their spreadsheets until after they voted on it. We have members sitting here from the Board of Finance who got the sheet that night, Chris. They got the mill rate calculation that night. They voted on the mill rate calculation that night. And then a week later, they complained that they didn't know that the mill rate calculation was double calculated. That's your job. That's not our job. Okay? So don't try to cast aspersions on me, Chris. I know exactly how the budget is calculated. And I know what our responsibility is here as town council members. Our responsibility is to pass a budget, and we did that. The Board of Finance is the one who has a question about the way they calculated the mill rate. Okay, so, Chris, I don't want to go back and forth with you on it. That's how the discussion went. And what I will do is I will ask, if you're going to pass in a timeline, I will pass in my timeline. I gave a timeline to the town manager as to what happened. I will ask the town clerk to please put my timeline into the record along with Chris's, which clarifies what really happened. Thank you, Chris.
So,
And we're not on, by the way, we're on town manager updates for Board of Finance in the year-end closeout update of financials. We're not on the budget.
no, we're on the Board of Finance report.
Okay.
And that's what I'm commenting on.
Okay.
The Board of Finance meeting, which we have to approve these minutes, spent the majority of the meeting, at least the first 45 minutes, talking about the 834.
Yes.
So I think it's more than appropriate to discuss it again here. Two points. First of all, just to be clear, of the 834, we know it may not be recurring. So what we said is, let's allocate a portion of it, $250,000 for educational funds, because the intent was for two purposes. One, property tax relief, and the second purpose was for education relief. So that's why we proposed giving portion of that back to educational funding, not cutting the whole amount. So just to be clear, that's what I thought we were very clear at that meeting what our intent was. We did not want to give the whole thing. We were trying to be fiscally responsible and give a portion of it. The second thing is, I started by saying, I'm not saying it's the finance director's or anyone in the finance department's decision to set policy and decide how much money will be allocated here or there. That's our role, completely. But what I'm saying is, once that decision is made, I'll say by the majority, because we didn't know before the meeting, the decision was made by the majority, and then you reach out to say, how can we do this within the budgeting process to get to the end result, which is what you want. You were advised not to do it the way it was done. You asked for other opinions. Other opinions were received.
I did
Again,
not,
that's
you're,
what's
you're
outlined.
misstating the facts, Chris, because again, you don't understand the discussion. I'm going to explain it again. I did not ask about the budget process. The question to the finance director was on calculation of the mill rate, Chris. I passed a message along from the Board of Finance chairman to the finance director and said the finance director talked about the mill rate calculation. That's what I asked the finance director to look into, was calculating the mill rate. Not how no other finance director, Chris, is going to give advice from another town on how we do our budgets. What was requested and what came back was the calculation of the mill rate, which is outside of this board, Chris. Chris, listen, we're not going to go on about this, Chris.
That's not what
Chris,
we were talking about.
Chris,
Paul.
we're done going on this. You've had two chances to talk about this,
I have
Chris.
every right to discuss what I want to discuss as a council member
You've
here.
been acknowledged twice, Chris, now.
I understand.
And
I
you've
have
been,
every right
Chris,
to talk about it.
we're going to ask other people. You've been acknowledged twice, and now we're going to ask others.
Would anyone else like to join in?
To the discussion or something else?
I watched the meeting, also the finance meeting. It was clear that something wasn't exactly right. It was referred to as an oddity. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of oddities floating around now. I hope they cease at some point, because the people deserve better than that. But it was well known, I think, that once the mill rate was set, the Board of Finance re-looked at what they did and how things were posted, how it was given to them, and they realized it wasn't right. And there's reasons why the finance director would say what she said, because there's GAP, there's GASB. These are people that, there are other finance directors. We have our own auditors that we pay money to. And she asked them, how should we account for this?
my point.
They told her, she conveyed that information. It wasn't acknowledged. She just got dismissed. And it's unfortunate, it caused an error in the mill rate. Now, it may have been a favorable error, but an error is an error nonetheless.
An
It's
oddity.
just how you see it. I see it.
Tony.
Yeah. Dave, are you happy with the way the Board of Finance had their meeting and came to the conclusions that they did? Were you happy with that?
Well, I mean, I was happy that they realized that there was a mistake. Well, they called it an oddity, but A mistake's a mistake, whether you call it an oddity or a mistake.
Whatever.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
just, that wasn't my question. My question is, are you happy with the result? Is it what this council wanted to
If you
do?
learn a lesson from it, perhaps that's some happiness there. Maybe it won't happen again.
Okay, we've had this discussion, the last council meeting, and now this council meeting, okay? I'm just saying, are we happy with what transpired and how it was resolved? If my opinion is, of course we are. Are we going to have this discussion at the next council meeting? I mean, when's it going to stop?
Probably not.
Okay, thank you.
We're discussing it pretty thoroughly here.
All right, thanks. If
First-
this is over, I've got a couple of things
Yes, Tony, go ahead.
that aren't to do with what we just talked about. The first thing is the audit report, which was actually a few months late, although we'd asked for it for that extension. And the reason being is that Finance Department faced some challenges last year with, we had, as we all know, because we discussed this last summer, that we had a lot of resignations from the town due to MERS, due to the pension issue, and also due to some people thought it was a good time to retire because they didn't want to work with some of the new processes and the new technology that we were implementing, which is fair enough. So that did impact the finance department, and yet they finished the audit in the time they said. They also managed to squeeze in the time to look at something that had been out there for 10 years, which was, as town manager said, one of the school construction projects, which has given us 2.5 million. So, but this is, to me, this is, and by the way, we also have 2.5 million from that audit, which we didn't realize we were going to have, and that's because the accounting wasn't done to do with the fact that these resignations had happened, and, you know, we were able to do the work that was necessary and more with the people we had, and gradually to bring more people in. And there was an obvious savings on that because we weren't paying people salaries. Okay, that's a wonderful thing for our finance department. It's a wonderful tribute to them. And I wanted to bring it out, okay, in public. Secondly, a minor thing, I think it's good that we have Rob Britton on the Board of Finance, because when I talked to him about that position, I talked to him about the fact that he has a portfolio of Connecticut municipalities. He's very well aware of how our operations work, as aware as most of us are on this dais, for instance. He's a senior vice president of a bank, and he has that portfolio. So he pointed out that only 70 towns did their 2025 audit, because he knows through his experience. So I'm glad he's on it. It brought out a context to the discussion that I was glad to see. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? We're on the town manager's report. Anybody else?
My last comment in response.
As long as you're not going to go back, Chris, to the thing, I've already called, I'm not going to, Chris,
I'm going to
Chris.
answer Tony's question.
Chris,
I'm gonna answer
the
Tony's
question wasn't directed to you, Chris.
comment.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. I have
Chris.
every right
Chris.
to talk about what I want to talk about under
Chris.
the Board of Finance report.
Chris, you've been called twice. I'm calling order. We're not going to go on about this every single meeting ad nauseum when you feel like doing this, Chris.
I'm going to put closure to it. So
Chris.
to answer Tony's question, I
The
would be
question wasn't
sufficient-
directed to
I
you, Chris.
understand. I will be sufficient
Chris.
in the decision
Chris.
if we learn
Chris.
from the mistake and
Chris,
do not make
you're
the
out of
same
order,
mistake
Chris.
moving forward.
The question
That's
wasn't
what
to
would
you,
be
Chris.
sufficient.
Thank you. Thank you for continuing, Chris. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item B is the town share of the Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program federal grant. I'm going to call that the Plantsville Flood Study. This is something that was applied for in 2024, third time's a charm. This is the third time the town has applied for this. A little bit of background. So Plantsville has flooded historically, and it goes all the way to South Center Street and all the way to Art Rich on Hart Street. So the town has looked at studying that, what is going on, what can we do? And studies are very expensive, very, very expensive. So the town was happy that it was able to get a federal grant from the administration for about $300,000. The only thing with the grant is it's not a 100% grant, it's a cost share, so the federal government would like some skin in the game, so it requires about $100,000 match. The engineering department has additional funds left over from the Planceville, I'll call it the safety project, where we budgeted in capital, it's a capital project. And we have some money left over that hasn't been transferred out yet. We haven't closed it out officially. We have a couple loose ends there. But there is money in that account. So the Board of Finance is going to have to look at this, but looking for guidance to the town council, because the town council is the authority on grants. And in 2024, the beginning of 2024, when this came, this wasn't brought to the council. So I want to make sure that the council is on board with this, and to give some direction to the Board of Finance as well. They're happy with the transfer that's been proposed by the engineering department.
So just to be clear, this is one that's been advertised. We did receive information from Representative Poulos that he received the grant, but this is not a grant that came before the council. The council didn't seek this grant. We weren't aware of the grant. But it's going to cost the council about $100,000. It's going to cost the town about $100,000 in order to participate in the grant. So this will be brought up later on in the agenda under Old Business B, and we'll be looking at that point to refer this to the Board of Finance to see if they can find funding. One potential solution is, as a town manager recommended, by using some leftover funds, but there's obviously some other ways to do that as well. So we would like to send that to, we're going to be looking for a motion to send that to the Board of Finance to determine if we have the funds, and if we do, then it'll come back to us to accept the grant if it's recommended.
I just have one
Yes.
question. How did he get to this point? Because it's, shall we say, it's unusual to say the least. If we don't look at a grant, especially one that I didn't realize until, it was brought up, that it has us essentially committing to spend $100,000, which we hadn't allowed for in our budget process.
Well, to be totally fair, town staff has applied for this 3 times. I don't know if it went, this is before my time. I'm not sure if the first 2 times went before the council for approval.
Okay.
But this was a very early 2024 grant application that the engineering department submitted.
Okay.
But it has not been in front of the council, no.
Okay.
Any other questions on this? Okay, item C, painting of town property.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is here for informational purposes for the council. Also, I've spoken with the Parks and Rec Department, who are phenomenal. Recently, we had some sports leagues in town paint their logos on town property. So for the public, all the parks in town are owned by the town of Southington, the general government. The town has agreements, and some informal, some formal, with every youth sports league that comes into town. So the softball up at Panthorn Park, the soccer at Rec Park, the baseball, all 3 baseball leagues, Southern, Northern, and Western. There's agreements in place who takes care of the grounds, who pays the water bills, who mows, who takes care of the concession stands. But at the end of the day, the town owns and controls all of the buildings, all of the property. There was an instance where one of the clubs painted their logo, and I'll say, for lack of a better term, painted a mural and covered an entire side of the building. There's another club that also shares the facilities. So we asked them to paint back over with generic Town of Southington colors that we have. We actually have all the same colors in all the parks now. It's all standardized. It looks really spiffy. And if there's anything that they want to do in the future that's minor in nature, I'll look at it with the recreation director. But if a club or a league or a team wants to do more of an intricate, or any group, a youth group who wants to put on a mural, wants to do something more significant or more specific, we'll bring it to the Parks and Rec board first, and then we'll bring it to the council for just a consensus, or if the council wants, they can make a formal vote. But we want to make sure that the town council is aware of everything that's being marked up in the parks.
And if I can add on, not just marked up, but we have had recent, in the last few years, field namings and things that have occurred without this council approval. So when we're talking about public property that's taxpayer-funded, it's town of Southington owned, the council should be approving any change to structures, pictures, namings of fields. So this may be something that we might want to look at an ordinance, or at the very least, a written town policy that ensures that it gets reviewed first by anything in the parks, by the Parks Board, and then anything to do with public property, any change to public property should be reviewed by town council.
I know, Town Manager, there's a question for you. Is this an ordinance or a policy?
Right now, it's a policy that I'm implemented.
Okay. All right.
But if you'd
So
like
leave it
to,
as a
we
policy.
can,
No.
you can obviously do more if you'd like to.
I think it should be left as a policy.
I'd agree.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yep.
Item D, dispatcher's contract agreement.
So I just want to start off by thanking the Southington Police Department dispatchers. We had this has been one of the longer contract negotiations. They've been without a contract since July 1st, 2025. The town's been without a contract, and they've been without a contract. We were on the verge of going to the state. But at the last minute, I'll give the finance director and the police chief all the credit. They did a great job pulling the parties back in for a final time, sitting down with their leadership and coming to an agreement that I'm happy to recommend, the police chief is happy to recommend. There's a document I put together that's in your packet that outlines the big ticket items that are in the contract. For the public, I think it's important to know that the town is very appreciative and cautious of their taxpayer funds. The agreement is it's a 4-year term that's proposed to the town council. The wage increase is 0% in the first year, and then it's 2.5% in the additional years. The other big change in this contract is the dispatchers in the town have preliminarily agreed for them to leave the self-insurance pool. So there'll be 12 people plus their family members would be going to the Teamsters plan. It's a several $100,000 savings for the town over the course of the contract as well. So the town's, and I'm not gonna say I'm thrilled with this contract. I can tell you that the Teamsters are not thrilled with the contract. But what I think when nobody's thrilled and everybody's okay with it, that's probably when you landed in a good spot. Happy to answer any questions. And again, thanks to the police chief and the finance director.
Any questions on item D, dispatcher's contract agreement?
Paul, just a question about the
Please, go
self-insurance
ahead.
portion. If they've paid into that self-insurance and now they're leaving the plan, what happens to the funds they've paid into it? Does it end with the fiscal year, or how does that transition work?
It's a premium based, so their premiums they'll stop when they transition. We're gonna let our plan administrator and their plan administrator figure out how to best transition them from the end of one month to the beginning of the next month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's, and the self-insurance as a whole is good, even beyond that action item, they're still running a very positive variance, so it's good to hear that self-insurance is running smoothly.
It is.
Item E, payroll update.
This is just what I'll call a quarterly update. I know there are a lot of questions, and folks in the dais asked me questions last fall, last summer, and early spring about payroll, and some employees had some payroll concerns. Just wanted to give an update on what's been going on so far. So we have fully transitioned from Paychex to ADP. All the employees are onboarded totally. The police, the fire have worked very well with our finance department. Kudos to the police chief, fire chief, and their deputies for working to take their systems. They have these very, very complex systems, and it converts it into the ADP file, which then sends folks money. This is how well it's actually working. Our payroll coordinator has been out on 2 extended leaves of absence, and payroll has been processed with almost 0 glitches on time. Two payroll cycles now, not connected. So a credit again to the finance department. They've really, in the human resources department, who's our backup payroll team now, they've done a great job in ensuring that everybody is getting paid on time and accurately, and very little friction for the employees and the teams who process it.
Any questions on payroll? Okay, item F, Southington Fire Department Shared Operations Support Update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The fire chief's here. I'm happy to report, because I know that the council's asked me for several reports and for follow-ups, how the town, different departments can help the police department, the fire department manage more effectively and easier with some lack of staffing there. We've had several follow-ups. Right now, the finance department's working with the fire leadership to help process invoices faster, POs. I'm told the fire chief only has to do what I do, is basically press a couple buttons and to pay an invoice. He doesn't have to do all of the manual looking at the POs and putting the information and additional, so it should make life a little bit easier. I did submit a memo from HR, giving an HR update for what HR has been doing over the last few months. And we are setting up another meeting again in a few weeks to go over what we can do more with the police department as well. Police department, they've been offering help wherever they can, but again, thanks to all three departments who are helping out the fire department.
Any questions on that item? I want to just give kudos. That's the last departmental update on payroll and finance, and now the sharing of support. You know, we sat here in this dais at election time last year, and there were departments that were under scrutiny from some people elected on various boards, and it created a lot of anxiety. And I'm glad that we've given an opportunity for our town staff to show what they can do, and to show that you know, this group of members who have been brought in over the last couple of years can really take us to the next level and take our town into the future. And so I want to say thank you to the town staff, payroll, finance, IT, you know, police and fire. Everybody's been doing a great job. We appreciate all that you've been doing, and I look forward to more updates in the future as we put some more of these on the agenda. Item G, SHS parking and changes to on-street parking.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a memorandum that just came out from the police department. As you know, the town council, the Board of Finance, and the Board of Education work collaboratively to redo the tennis courts and a lot of additional parking, over 100 more spots on the southeast side of the high school. And with that, the police department is planning right now to increase some restrictions on a lot of those streets. I graduated over 20 years ago, and those streets were jam-packed over 20 years ago, and I'm sure they're morally jam-packed today. So there's some additional restrictions that will be in place when the parking is completed. Mandel Drive, February Drive, Pleasant Street, Annalise, and Darling all will have additional restrictions to help alleviate some of the residents' concerns. Also, safety issues where people, sometimes the students are driving fairly fast after or before school. You don't want those people crossing the streets as well. So some sort of payoffs are coming from the parking lot. So it's a little more good news.
Any questions? Okay, thanks for the police department working hard to try to, you know, bring the vision to life. We know that there's been a lot of safety issues. We saw an accident there earlier this year with a car getting turned over on Pleasant Street, and some of the sight lines are pretty bad when it's crazy times there with events and things like that, so we appreciate them looking at that. Okay, item 6, Town Attorney's Report. A, status of Section 208 of the Charter.
Thank you,
Mr. Town
Chair.
Attorney.
So I understand there's been a lot of questions and uncertainty regarding 208 and the town council's appointment of Mr. Britton at the last town council meeting. I want to make clear, as I did in my opinion, which I think has been shared with a lot of people, that I do believe the town council had the authority at the time. There's a lot of documents that have been uncovered. There's a lot of research that Kathy's done in conjunction with me, Paul, Alex, that have revealed a number of different circumstances that led us to this point, and I'll be the first to acknowledge there is some confusion regarding it. And I'm more than happy to go in detail about the confusion. I sent out a packet. I apologize, it was late last night. I think it was at yesterday evening. I hope everyone got a chance to review it. I know it was long. I know it had a lot of materials in it, But I think those materials are helpful in getting us to the point where we understand what happened here. So throwing it all the way back to 1994, that's when the Charter Revision Commission specifically discussed Section 208. And it was, the proposed language was, quote, "Vacancies in the library board and the Board of Finance shall be filled by the council for the unexpired portion of the term," unquote. This went to, the town council accepted the charter recommendation, and it went to a referendum, and the voters approved it on November 8th, 1994. Nothing really happened between 1994 and 2000. In 2000, I think, is where the uncertainty or questions began. And that was in the 2000 charter, or 2000, changes were made to the charter where we eliminated the library board. It used to be an elected board. In 2000, it was changed to appointed. And because of that, some of the language in our charter likely became obsolete. So in 2000, the referendum does not identify any changes to Section 208. So 1994 to 2000, the same language still applies. In 2009, the town council decided to appoint Board of Finance members. There was a vacancy in 2009. I think Chris was involved in that vote, and there were no issues. In 2010, it happened again. Mr. Pocock was actually himself involved in that vote. In 2010, which I think is probably one of the most important circumstances leading up to this, there was a question on the referendum, and the voters were asked whether Section 208, whether the boards or commissions should fill their own vacancies. And the voters voted against it. I can tell you the result was 8,906 no to 5,897 yes. And that was specifically to decide whether boards and commissions should fill their own vacancies. So the voters' intent is clear. The history of the history of the council appointing these members to the Board of Finance is clear. This is where things get a little wayward. So as late as 2015, the published charter had the same language, that vacancies in the library board and the Board of Finance shall be filled by the council for the unexpired portion of the term. What happened afterward, and Kathy's going to talk about it too as well, appears to be an effort to kind of clean up the obsolete library board language. There was no reason to have library board language in the charter if we didn't have a library board that was elected. It's appointed. The 2000 referendum established that. So sometime between 2016 and 2018, that language, the quoted language I gave, that gave the council the ability to finish or fill out the Board of Finance vacancies, changed. And Kathy's going to talk about what happened to that point, but I think the intent of what Kathy did was to clean up the charter. I think the bigger issue that has obviously arisen now is Kathy likely didn't have the authorization to do that, and as a result, I think the language that was in the 2015 charter, giving the town council the authority to fill these vacancies, still applies. And it'd probably be my recommendation that this language get corrected in the charter. Otherwise, we're still in the same position where there's question as to who fills the vacancy. So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have, but I think it's clear from the intent of the 94 revision what was meant to happen here, and that's the town council is supposed to fill these vacancies. If that wasn't clear, the town council filled them twice in the past, and this exact question was asked to voters in 2010. So all of that evidence in conjunction leads me to believe that the town council did and always has had that authority to fill any vacancies. And Kathy, I'm more than happy to hear your
Kathy,
perspective.
why don't you, go ahead, Kathy. Tell us maybe a little bit about, what changed, how it got brought to you, and some timeframes.
Well, it was a discussion, it was clear that there was language in there that shouldn't have been there with the library board. It was a discussion between the town manager and myself that needed to be cleaned up. Unfortunately, with the example that is in all the exhibits, the entire line was bracketed for removal rather than just vacancies in the library board. That was what was supposed to be removed. This was, I believe, 2018 or 19. And when the next update with other changes that were sent in for ordinance changes, This was also sent. And then just recently discovered that the entire line was taken out. When I started researching, I didn't recall this, but as I started going through all my records, this was part of my file, and then realizing that this was a discussion between the town manager and myself, and that's how it became to what it is right now.
So just, you believe that the change in, at least in the online version, occurred roughly around when?
2018, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can add to that. You know, Kathy and I have been on emails with the general code who maintains our charter. And, you know, we've tried to ask them for as much information as we can. And there's this period between 2016 and 2018 where they don't have any information. We know for sure that there was some request made with regard to this language that is the ire of today. But between 2016 and 2018, the code didn't have much for us in terms of answers. The code itself actually provided that they don't have any records acknowledging any amendments to Section 208 as well. So again, taking all of this in conjunction, I know the word oddity was thrown around almost, you know, as a mistake. This wasn't a mistake. You know, this is an overcorrection on behalf of the town clerk, which I acknowledge what it says in the online charter, but it's clearly a mistake, and I think that Mr. Britton's appointment was proper. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have. I know that I threw a lot of material out in that packet, but I thought all of those documents were helpful in trying to understand the entire history of this and what led us up to this point.
And for those who might be watching, the comments about the removal of the library board from this because it became appointed and not elected, the title of this section of our charter is actually vacancies in elected positions. So, so when the library board became appointed, that's the reason, somewhere along the line, somebody realized, oh, the library board is appointed, you know, maybe they made changes to other sections regarding the library board, but this section here is one that still had library board as being referenced as an elected position, when clearly it wasn't after the 2000.
2000, yeah.
2000.
That's when it was changed from elected
So
to appointed.
it took some years of, and in fact, 2 appointments occurred, 2009 and 10. We don't know if anybody knew at those times that there was the error in this, but everybody always assumed that it was, the 1994 language was the proper language,
Yeah.
which it is.
And I think even if we didn't have all of this evidence, 2010, when the voters voted on this, made it abundantly clear as to what it should be.
And to restate what the town attorney said was, in 2010, there was a referendum question that went to the electorate that said, shall all elected vacancies be appointed by their own boards? And that went to referendum, and the voters voted on that and resoundingly said no.
Correct.
It should stay with the current language. So that's kind of where we are. Questions? Chris?
Just a comment. I really don't want to get into a lot of comment on this because it is an ongoing legal matter, as we all are aware. This is being reviewed right now. But I have in my hands a copy that was given to an attorney that is the certified copy, signed certified copy from the town clerk's office. And it reads, Section 208, vacancies in elective offices. And again, this was received since the last council meeting. Vacancies in elective offices, except in the Board of Education, the planning.
I think that is a true and accurate copy of what the charter should say.
Chris, is there a second part to that?
Yeah, it goes on to what we.
What,
I
can
mean,
you
I
read the
it.
second part?
Sure, sure. Okay. Vacancies in elective offices, except in the Board of Education, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Board of Finance, from whatever cause arises, shall be filled by the council for a period until the next town election. Vacancies in the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be filled by the Planning and Zoning Commission for the period until the next town election. In filling any vacancy, the council, Board of Education, or the Planning and Zoning Commission shall select a person of the same political party of the former incumbent unless the incumbent was not an enrolled member of a political party, in which case his successor shall not be an enrolled member of a political party. A member elected at a town election to fill a vacancy shall serve for the remaining unexpired portion of the term of the former incumbent. And again, I don't think the rest of that is,
And what you're reading as a certified copy is what's actually on the website, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
But this is,
Yep.
Right.
Are you passing that in?
I can.
I'm going to pass this in. So this is, I was made aware that there were, that we did have some certification. People come in and request certified copies of the charter. And just to be clear about what certification means, the certification does not mean that what is there is true and proper. I'm going to read what the certification says. It says, when somebody comes into the town clerk's office to get a certified copy of something, it says, this is to certify that this is a true copy of a record on file in the town clerk's office, town of Southington, Connecticut. So it doesn't say that it is an accurate copy, that it is the proper legal document. So I'm just going to pass this in because it says that it's a copy that's online. And I will state that state legislation requires that any town charter change be voted on by the town citizens. And just because somebody changes something online doesn't mean that that is a binding copy. I mean, Toni Morrison could break into the town clerk's office and go on her computer and send a request to make a change, puts a change in, nobody notices it for a month. Just because Toni Morrison went in there and made the change on the town clerk's laptop does not mean that that's an actual copy of our town, that is an actual certified document that is certified by the electorate. So what the town clerk certified to was that she was giving a copy of something that was in her possession. And what state law says is that to certify a charter change, the voters must vote on that change. So I'm leaving that certification with you. Josh?
So we voted on this 9-0, correct? And your party leadership is now saying threatening to sue for this, but it was a Republican seat, correct? Right? And it was filled by, I think, a pretty qualified Republican, right? I certainly don't want to serve on the Board of Finance. Numbers are not my thing. I'm just, a two-part question here. Wondering what the end goal of this is from, I guess, your party or your party's leadership.
I can't speak to that. I'm not the party leadership. But I will tell you, the town attorney pointed out that I voted on previous appointments. I think I voted on both of them. But I wasn't aware. Now that I'm aware and I see, and something is brought to my attention, if there's a discrepancy and it's a legal matter, I'm not going to continue down a path that may or may not be legal. So
But it's a
that's what.
clerical error. That's what this sounds like.
No, I just
right?
read you.
Because he just, I understand, I read it too.
Do-
We've all, I think a lot of people have read this now.
I know, I'm
But
trying to answer your question, Josh, and now
he
you're.
just said that
Okay.
it's incorrect, right? And it's what the voters voted on.
That's his opinion, and there's other opinions. So again, I'm not going to comment on a legal matter. Had I been aware of it, back when I voted for Mr. Pocock and Mr. Bose, if that was brought to my attention back then with what I know now, I would have questioned it the same way. I didn't know. Now,
We learned, though, that the change didn't occur, the charter language was proper in 2009 and 10. So what you referred to in 2009 and 10 was the 1994 language that actually stood. Not only did it stand in 2009 and 10 when you voted on it, Chris, but you as a town councilor in 2010 voted to send to referendum to change that policy and to ask the voters to allow the Board of Finance to vote on their own appointment for vacancies, and the voters said no. So of all people, you should know that you sent a referendum question that actually allowed boards to appoint their own, and the voters said no. And Chris, while we're talking about it, it was 2018 when you were town council chairperson that this error occurred.
Paul, I said before, I didn't know what was brought to my attention now. Had I known, I would have addressed it. I didn't know, so we're addressing it now. And the second thing is, as I said, it's a legal matter. I'm not going to discuss it on the dais. We know we have legal matters like the sign pro matter. We don't discuss that publicly. I'm not going to discuss this publicly.
Who is
It's
the
a le-
legal- who is the legal
I'm
matter?
not getting into it, Paul. It's a legal matter, and I'm not getting into it publicly.
No, but I'm
It's not
saying,
appropriate.
what is the party that's bringing the legal matter to the town? Because there's nothing been filed with the town.
I'm not going to continue to comment on it. It is an ongoing legal matter, and we're all aware of that.
But the ongoing legal matter is that the Southington Democratic Town Committee sent the town a letter through an attorney challenging the town council decision that we all made, correct? So,
I'm
and you,
not gonna
and
comment
so not only
on
that, but you
ongoing
are
legal
also a
matter.
member of the Southington Democratic Town Committee, is that correct?
I'm not.
And
gonna
you're also a member of
comment.
the Southington Democratic Town Committee who is providing evidence up here into the record to benefit the Southington Democratic Town Committee's case that you're saying is before us. Is that
I'm
correct?
trying to point out what was given from our town clerk's office. It's a certified copy from the town clerk. It's not something that we produced ourselves.
Chris,
It
where did you
came
get that from?
From the town clerk's office.
Who gave it to you?
From a local attorney that received it from the town clerk's office.
Thank you.
My second question was the town attorney, is going forward, how do we fix what is online and the language discrepancy?
I think the town clerk's unauthorized revision should be reversed.
Okay, so how do we do that?
That would be done through E-code, through the general code. I think it's just a simple email.
The town clerk, I'm assuming she's got the authority to do it.
Yeah, the town clerk is in correspondence with general code. We've reached out to them multiple times about this. So they're aware of the issue and understand, and actually, I think, told us that the change was not authorized.
Okay.
I can tell you the exact language that E-code used. Quote, based on the information available to me, it does not appear that section 208 of the charter was amended, in which case the original wording of these sections is still in effect, unquote. That was from the general code.
Can we get a copy of that for the record?
I believe that is included in the materials. Provided
Like that
I think it's
included.
It's Exhibit 8, if I remember correctly.
The E-code correspondence?
Yeah, Exhibit 8 should be the E-code correspondence.
And if it's not, then the request from Councilman Serafino is to include the E-code correspondence to you, Kathy.
For the minutes, correct.
Mr. Morrison?
Yeah, just, I have a comment on this. I accept Chris's point that it's potentially a legal matter. And we shouldn't really talk about the cases, the case itself. However, just want to point out one thing as a comment. If there is a case against this, I mean, obviously it's going to be changed. Language in the charter is going to be changed. But say because of the time frame in which this happened, there is a case, and it were to be adjudicated against against the town, and the appointment was avoided. Say that happens, hypothetical. Okay, so what would happen? Well, Rob Britton's appointment would be rescinded, and the Board of Finance would then go and appoint somebody into that position to fill that vacancy, because they'd have the authority then, even though, obviously the charter would be changed. So what would they do? Well, they have to appoint a Republican, okay? Number one. Number two, they would have to, I would assume, to do their best judgment, do essentially what some of us did, which is to find the best Republican for the job, who was willing, to perform. And you are not going to find anybody better than Mr. Britton as a Republican who is willing to serve. So in other words, we'd be exactly in the same position that we are now, okay? And that's just the way it is. But the reason I make this comment is because this is, this is just sound and fury signifying nothing, okay? And it does upset me because it's a waste of time. That's it.
Anybody else? Dave, please, go ahead.
Is the town of Southington required to send our charter to the state of Connecticut to be put on file?
No, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I believe the state of Connecticut judicial branch keeps a database of charters, and to my knowledge, because I looked, I think the state of Connecticut judicial database, which I think you're referring to,
I'm not sure
is
what I'm
just,
referring to.
yeah, is just linked to our E-code 360 online charter. So I don't know if it's two separate charters that are out there. I know that when I looked on the state of Connecticut judicial branch and I went to Southington and, looked at the charter, it's the exact same link that when you search Southington Charter into Google.
So therefore, the state thinks 208 is what you see, what's on our website, what's on our certified copy.
I don't know what
and
the state
s-
thinks.
Well, if you could reach it from their website, they believe it to be what it is. So we're dealing with that language.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I don't know what the state thinks. I think that the same database or same web hosting is on the judicial branch as it is on the general code website.
Can I ask Kathy that question?
Sure, go ahead.
To the state of Connecticut for posting.
When there's changes. When there's voted changes,
So
they're sent.
whatever the state has on file now is what, if a resident of the state of Connecticut were to look, they would find that.
Yeah.
Find what?
They would find
I'm asking Kathy. What would they find? What does
Well,
the state of
I-
Connecticut have on file?
Well, when there's a vote to change the charter, then that's submitted to the state. How they house it, store it, I don't know where it's located on the website, what website. But when there's a charter change, there's submitted to the Secretary of State.
And is that the letter that we've seen already you've given to us in some of these correspondence, which is a certified letter from the town clerk with the referendum results, and it shows the votes and things like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and then separately, the change itself, the wording, is sent to the Secretary of State.
Okay, good. From the referendum vote.
Yep.
The E-code 360, the digital system that we all see online, do they keep versioning? Do they have versions of that? Can you see changes? Can you see historical changes to the digital website?
On the
E-code or
E-code,
whatever?
Yes.
Okay, and have you
I
looked
think
at that?
There's archives.
So there's archives of
There's
that?
archives on that.
And
So
is-
you can go back and see when there's changes.
Okay,
You can compare version to version.
okay. And did you do that for this?
Yes.
And what did you
And
notice?
As well as, I think, town attorney, yeah.
Okay. Good. Any other questions for the town attorney or the town clerk? Okay, moving on to item
Just had a
7.
question.
Oh,
Not
sorry,
not
Chris.
related to
Go ahead.
this. I actually just caught something, I don't know if you want, that, I just realized, if you want, we could add, I'll make a motion to add to the agenda. The last meeting, I tabled one of our 2 cable advisory positions, I've since confirmed, so I don't know if you want to add it, otherwise, we don't need to, but, and then the second thing I noticed, in looking at the minutes, I know it was the transcribed minutes, it is Mr. Darnowski, and it reports it as Mr. DiAugustino. I don't know who Mr. DiAugustino is in the minutes, so earlier in the meeting, I made a motion to approve the minutes. So if possible, I'd like to modify my motion to correct. the
Which
name-
minutes? Are you talking the
the
town
minutes
council
from the
meeting?
last town council, yeah. If that's okay, I don't know if that's okay, I'd like to correct, make a modification.
So we're going to go back to item 2, approval of town council meeting minutes, July 13th, 2026.
Yes.
And we're going to have an amended motion.
Yes, so it's under appointments, which is towards the end of the, right before item 11 adjournment, and I want to correct that. Again, I think it's just a transcribe error. It's Mr. Darnowski, not Mr. DiAugustino.
Okay.
That we reappointed to the cable advisory.
To the Cable Advisory Committee.
Yeah, if that's okay, I'd like to
So
make
that's
that
a motion to make an amended motion to the July 13, 2026 Town Council meeting minutes under the appointments.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
who
Mr.
seconded.
Darrenowski, not
I'll resecond,
DiAugustino.
yeah. I'll
And then a
resecond.
resecond from Tony, Kathy. And then any other discussion on that before we call? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor on the amended town council meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I didn't catch it earlier.
It's okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion for the amended minutes passes unanimously. Thanks for catching that, Chris.
Of course, and if you'd like, I'll make a motion to add, under old business item B, the remaining appointment for the Cable Advisory Committee.
Is it Mr. D'Agostino?
No.
Under old business,
Old
Chris?
business item B.
It's actually, so why don't we do it, old business C? It's
Okay.
8C,
Okay,
Cable Advisory Committee.
okay.
And do we have a second to add that agenda
I'll
item?
second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor to add the agenda item?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And
Motion
again,
passes unanimously.
My apologies for missing.
No sweat. No worries. Okay. Item 7, public communications. Public communications, please. Come on up, Rachel.
Good evening. It's freezing in here.
Good thing you brought your sweatshirt.
Wow. My name is Rachel Waukee, and I reside at 138 Longcrest Drive in Southington. And I'm currently the chairwoman of the Town of Southington Veterans Committee, and I have been serving in that position for the past 5 years. So I come here before you this evening because I wanted to share a brief report of what our Veterans Committee has been doing. Some of it you may already know, and Chris mentioned a few things that I wanted to mention as well. First, I'd like to thank all of the Veterans Committee. They're all volunteers, and they do a phenomenal job. A lot of time and effort is taken on this committee, and it's very appreciated. Also, for the volunteers that volunteer at our monthly coffee hours. So currently, we have 10 monthly coffee hours. They're held at the Calendar House here in town, and we have programs of interest to our veterans and their families. We have great speakers, programs, different events, and of course, social time and refreshments as well. The attendance stands pretty much at 50 to 60 veterans every month, so it's very well attended. We also have outreach in the veteran community here in Southington. We visit all 5 nursing facilities during the year and visit our veterans and take information to them and from them. We're also present in the community all year long in places like the Apple Harvest Festival, the Halloween in the Village, Christmas in the Village, Easter on the town green. Let's see. We work with Valentine the Clown at Christmas time. We do food drive for community service. We also work very close with Janet Mellon at Community Services, and currently on a homeless committee on the veterans sector of that. We also work with Connecticut Kids, American Legion Auxiliary, and STEPS, to mention a few of the nonprofits in town. We also work with the Connecticut Army National Guard very closely on several events and activities during the year. Of course, you realize that there were 50 troops that were deployed last October to the Middle East, and we've been supporting them with packages, with a send-off breakfast, and I understand they will be returning to Connecticut shortly, and so we do plan on having a welcome home luncheon for them. We also work with the military kids with their summer camp. We work on the parent-child dinner dance, Christmas family party, a lot of different things that we do with them. We're pretty much working and available 24/7 to our veterans and their families, and we get a lot of phone calls, a lot of things that these veterans need, and we try to fill all those needs that's possible that we can. And I have a feeling that this fall and winter, it will even amp up more with the way things are. So then, of course, we have some other exceptional things that we do, and Councilman Palmieri mentioned that, and one of them was Chris Poulos Sr. approached me with wanting to do have a subcommittee and talk about dental care for veterans. He had heard about it in Florida. So I said, sure, let's go with it. And through that, the state passed the law, and it will become due on January 1, 27, that veterans that are eligible will be able to get some free dental care. So kudos to Chris. Great job with this committee. And it's a win-win for all of our veterans here in Connecticut. The other thing I want to mention is about, you're aware about the monument, how we're trying to restore that monument, and it's been going on for years now with the Veterans Committee. So we're getting closer, for sure. And Joe Lozin, Joe Delaporte, myself, we've been working on this for quite a while, and I want to thank them very much for all their time. And then out of that, Chris Poulos, our state representative, went to Hartford, and he was able, as you know, to get us $50,000 grant to help with the restoration of that monument. So through his efforts and all his hard work, kudos to him. He's been great to our community, and he's been great for our veterans. So in closing, I don't want to forget about the biggest event that we had with our MIA veteran, Donald Dorman. It was amazing. This veteran missing in action for over 80 years finally returned to his hometown and to be buried with his family. And our town did a wonderful thing here that will be remembered for many years to come with the 4 events that took place with all the honor and respect and all of the community. I especially want to thank Lauren Dietzick at Plantsville Memorial Funeral Home, the First Congregational Church with Pastor Laura, and of course, the Joe and Kay Calvinese Foundation and the AquaTurf. When I say it takes a village, and that's my favorite saying, but it's true, it takes a village, and we pulled this off. So finally, I would like to give a shout out to our local Zion church here to appreciate what they do, their continued generosity to our veterans and our Veterans Committee, to our donation line item. And through them, we're able to do so much to help our veterans. So thank you, and God bless them. Lastly, thank you to the council for all your support these past 5 years, and we hope to continue with our current programs. And of course, we would like to add additional programs as well in the coming months. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rachel. And thank you for your service as well, and your passion and your love for the veterans in our community.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak during public communications? All right, sir, good evening.
Good evening, members of the Southington Town Council. My name is Peter Polanski, and I live at 62 Eden Avenue here in Southington. And I've lived on Eden Avenue for 67 years, my entire life. I'm coming before you today to speak to you about public road safety on Eden Avenue and Liberty Street. Over the years, I have watched the Eden Avenue and Liberty Street neighborhoods change. Some change for the better, some change for the worst. With that said, I know change is inevitable. The town has done a great job in providing the residents of Southington, especially the Eden Avenue and Liberty Street residents, with reputable businesses and housing, as well as keeping the streets safe and clean. However, traffic on Eden Avenue and Liberty Street has become a concern not only to myself, but to many other residents who live there. There has been a recent increase of housing complexes in the neighborhood, such as Eden and Main, which to the best of my knowledge has 41 apartments and 23 condominiums. Furthermore, there is Liberty Station Complex at 76 Liberty Street with 30 units. The Center Point Crossing at 136 Liberty Street with 28 units. And the Renaissance Commons Complex at the corner of Liberty Street and Columbus Avenue with 20 condominium units. That's a total of 142 new living spaces. If you multiply that by 2, which is an average estimated amount of vehicles per household, it equals around 284 vehicles added to the daily traffic in this neighborhood. In addition, many people familiar with this area avoid a section of Route 10 by speeding down Eden Avenue, then crossing over to Liberty Street, North Liberty Street, and finally to High Street to skip all the traffic lights and congestion surrounding the town green. To myself and other residents in the neighborhood, the most serious road safety issue concerning Eden Avenue is the lack of public awareness of the 2 schools that border Eden Avenue, Darrenowski Elementary School and St. Luke Catholic School. Both schools have entrances on Eden Avenue. There are no crosswalks on Eden Avenue, nor are there any signs to indicate that you're driving through a school zone, not one sign. Several residents on Eden Avenue, myself included, have had to stop traffic on their way to, in order to let children and families safely cross the street on their way to and from school. The only 2 traffic signs on Eden Avenue are signs that state that the speed limit is 25 miles per hour, which many people ignore. Again, there is not one sign indicating that you're traveling through a school zone on Eden Avenue. In years past, many residents on Eden Avenue have asked to have a 3-way stop sign installed at the intersection of Eden Avenue and Liberty Street, but were met with resistance or lack of concern from the town. This is an issue because cars speed on Eden Avenue on a daily basis, and parking is permitted on both sides of Eden Avenue and Liberty Street, which makes it difficult to enter Eden Avenue from Liberty Street. I'm here to ask the town council to implement a 3-way stop sign at the intersection of Eden Avenue and Liberty Street. There are already 4-way stop signs at the intersection of Liberty Street and Columbus Avenue, as well as the intersection of Liberty Street and Center Street. I believe that an additional 3-way stop sign at the intersection of Eden Avenue and Liberty Street is necessary not only to reduce the out-of-control speeding that is occurring on Eden Avenue on a daily basis, but also to prevent more accidents from occurring or people getting injured while crossing the street. I'm also asking the town council to post school zone signs or create crosswalks on Eden Avenue to further improve public safety on the street. Moreover, the town might also consider using additional enforcement measures such as traffic or speed cameras and increased police surveillance. This would further improve safety and could potentially increase revenue for the town from speeding tickets. I'd like to end by thanking the members of the town members of the town council for taking their time and their attention to this matter, and I look forward to seeing the improvements that I anticipate if these suggested measures are taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polanski. Would it please the town council if we ask the town manager to look into this with the police department?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing it up, and thanks for
Thank-
bringing some suggestions. Those are good suggestions.
Well, this is all true, and the other residents who came before, I don't know if they came before you or whether they were basically says, oh, we have to do a traffic study, we have to do, well, I did a study of my own, just real quick, a study on my own, and I contacted the Southington Police Department, and I have statistics here of reported accidents on Eden Avenue and Liberty Street. I also contacted the Yukon, Connecticut Crash Data Repository, and I got statistics from reported accidents. And the best one was the Capital Region Council of Government for the state of Connecticut. I got some really good statistics. But again, they're all reported accidents. And let me tell you, not every accident is reported.
Right.
I've witnessed accidents, people get out of their cars and say, oh, no, I don't want my insurance to go up. Please, let's not do it. I saw another accident where somebody says, please, I don't have insurance. I don't want to get arrested. So statistics are great. But the reality is, personally, I think if somebody wants to do a study, why doesn't somebody go up and down Eden Avenue and Liberty Street and ask the people what's going on there? Because I'm telling you, you guys probably, myself included, I avoid this section of Southington. I go down High Street, I go down Liberty Street, and I live
We've
there.
all done it.
We've all done it. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
And that's why it's getting really kind of out of control right now.
If
Thank
you have some of those statistics that you would like to pass in for the record, you can give them to the clerk. We'll
Yeah,
put them
but
into
you
the
know what?
meeting minutes.
These are just reported.
Okay.
And
That's fair.
and I'm saying to myself, this isn't real.
No worries.
But the one good thing is, I just wanted to just show you this real quick. The Capital Region of Council of Government for the state of Connecticut. They have the map of Southington of where, if anybody's seen this?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it because it's Queen Street the most, West Street the next. And then right here in the circle, guess whose neighborhood that is, okay? So
Pass that one in. Pass that one in.
so.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Polanski. We'll look into it. Crosswalks and school zone signs. I mean, those seem like, no-brainers. You got to do it. Obviously, we have to work it through our chief, traffic officer, the chief, so be good to, and maybe we can have that reported out in a meeting or two?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I would appreciate it, thank you. And that stop sign, I'm telling you, if you only knew the amount of people that zoom, 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 because it's like a racetrack. And I've had somebody tell me who lives on Vermont Avenue that, oh yeah, Eden Avenue is a real great place. It's double wide, not like Vermont. And you could just zoom down there.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate
thank
you
guys.
coming out.
Thank
Good
you.
talking with you.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak during public communications? Mr. Chairman, Tim Wilk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everybody. I promise to keep this very brief. Tim Wilk, resident at 144 Scenic Drive, and as a candidate for our 81st House District in Southington, is it Mr. Polanski? Did I pronounce that? Did I pronounce that correctly? Polanski, thank you. I will say, having been out campaigning, that's not the first time I've heard same or similar complaint about that area there, so it'd be nice if we could all work together, maybe accomplish something there. But the other reason I want to come before you was, as a supernumerary officer here in town, I just wanted to share with you folks that having worked a number of those milling and paving jobs, I will say overwhelmingly the residents have been quite pleased with the work. For the select few who have expressed inconvenience by the projects, I will say that I've advocated for the council, advocated for the town, and said, sometimes things need to get worse before they get better. But in the end, you'll have a nice, freshly paved road. So also as a resident, I appreciate the interest in the infrastructure. Lastly, as chair of the Board of Fire Commissioners, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Councilman Serafino for your recent attendance at the Fire Commission meeting. I'm sure I speak on behalf of the rest of the fire department too when I say that we appreciate your sacrificing your time and your continued interest. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak tonight? Anybody else? Okay. We will close public communications and move on to item 8, old business. Action on dispatcher's contract agreement. Looking for a motion, anybody?
Motion to approve.
Tony makes a motion to approve. Second for Mr. Zoni. Any discussion on the dispatcher's contract?
Just a quick question,
Please.
Mr. Town Manager. So what are the aspects that you didn't like about the contract? You mentioned that neither side liked it, which is
Contract
probably a good
negotiations?
compromise.
With all due respect, Mr. Morrison, I'd like to not share that publicly.
Okay, understood. All right.
Okay, any other questions on that? Well, I will just say thank you to all parties involved. I know it's never an easy thing, but it sounds like you guys worked through some ups and downs and all arounds, and you've come to a spot that everybody agrees on, and that's an important thing. So thanks to all the parties involved. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Zoni?
Yes.
Gaida?
Yes.
Morelli?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Palmieri?
Yes.
Serafino?
Yes.
Chaplinsky?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. B, Town Share of Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program, Federal Grant, Plantsville Flood Study. We're looking for a referral to the Board of Finance on this.
I'll make a motion to refer this to the Board of Finance.
We have a motion? Second for Mr. Zoni. Any discussion on the referral? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item C, Cable Advisory Committee appointment.
Since the last meeting, I have confirmed with Sandy Bernoulli that she is willing to be reappointed to the commission. I just wanted to confirm that. So it's my pleasure to recommend the name Sandy Bernoulli for the vacancy on the Cable Advisory Committee.
Okay, we have a motion for Sandy.
I'll second.
Second from Mrs. Gaida. Any comments on that? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. We're now going to move into executive session on personnel matters and real estate contractual matters, northwest part of town. So we have a few items. I'm going to ask for a motion to move into executive session barring the public and the press, but including the town manager, town attorney, and for the first agenda item, the fire chief, and then the fire commission chairman. And we will then excuse the two of them and have the rest of the executive session. We will have action on the report of Board of Finance following the executive session. So do we have a motion for that?
Motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.